Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lamisha and I am an accelerated bachelor's of nursing student, and thank you so much for coming back for another video. Today we're going to be talking about consider applying to nursing school if you're already applying to nursing school. I've come up with a few helpful tips that I think are really important to think about when you are considering nursing as a career. Now, I'm a non-traditional nursing student, so this is probably going to be geared more towards the non-traditional nursing student, but even a traditional nursing student could follow some of these tips in order to have a really strong application when applying for nursing school. So don't mind me, I will be reading my notes because I wrote a few things down just like anyone does so that they don't forget. So if you see me looking down, that's why. The first tip I would like to give when either you are applying for nursing school or thinking of applying for nursing school is know your why. This comes up time and time again when you are applying for schools. They'll ask you, tell us why you want to be a nurse. Your why for choosing nursing as a career will also be your motivation. Nursing school, we all know that's hard, but even just the application journey alone can be stressful. So remembering your why will help you get through when you're having really difficult times, because this is not going to be an easy path. The next thing that you want to consider, obviously, are your prerequisites. Every nursing program requires a certain amount of classes in order to be able to actually apply for a nursing program. For example, you could be taking human anatomy and physiology, microbiology, statistics, the list goes on and on. But if you're thinking of applying to an accelerated bachelor's of nursing program, just know that they may also require some additional prerequisites, such as for me, for my school, in order for me to just be able to apply, I would have had to have taken pharmacology as well as pathophysiology. And what I would recommend is that you find a school, like a community college, where you can take these prerequisites because they can be very expensive. The same class that you could be paying like $1,300 for 3 units could be like $100 or $150 at a community college. You can even apply for like financial aid programs and stuff. So definitely pay attention to your prerequisites. Also, a few things to keep in mind is that it's not just one thing to make good grades in your prerequisites, because yes, that is important, but you also want to make sure that you're not just learning or memorizing the material to get by. Make sure that you know this information because it's going to come up again and again and again as you move forward through your nursing program. So it's really important that you do remember to learn, like read and study and do to learn, to really understand the material. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be saving someone's life. And it's super important, right? So, moving on to the next step. For letters of recommendation, and do it early, as soon as you can. Most nursing schools will require that you do have maybe like 2 to 3 letters of recommendation depending on the type of program it is. It usually requires one professional letter of rec, a healthcare letter of rec, and then any other letter of recommendation that you would be considering or that the school requires. What I've noticed is that it's really important to start looking for people that you know can speak highly of you early, because you're going to want to reach out to these people and let them know, like, hey, I'm applying for this program. Your input about who I am, I value it highly, and I would love for you, if possible, to write me a letter of recommendation for nursing school. Let's say you're already getting ready to apply, like you're out of the you're still in the pre-nursing stage, but you're coming towards the end where you're getting people to write you a letter of recommendation, and you set a deadline for them, and the deadline comes and there's no response. And I can make a whole separate video on letter of recommendations, but Essentially, you want to reach out to the people you need to write you a letter of recommendations on time. You need to give these people time in order to do this because people are also busy. People have busy lives. So if you can start looking for letter of recommendations early, it will save you so much stress. Trust me. Exams. So that's my favorite thing, right? You are applying to go into the nursing program, and they require you to take an exam to see where you're at in order to be eligible to apply to their programs. There's two types of tests. There is the HESI exam and the TEAS exam. And for my school required the HESI exam. So I will be creating a video on how to score highly on the HESI test. I'm really excited for this video because I remember when I was studying for the HESI exam and I used a lot of good resources, and I don't know where I would have been if I didn't use those study aids to get a really good score. So be on the lookout for that. Essentially what the HESI and the TEAS tests are they test you on different subjects such as your biology, anatomy and physiology, chemistry, and depending on the school you go to will determine what type of subject that you're going to have to take the exam on. But what I'd recommend is start studying for that early. Whenever you can, maybe squeeze in some time, 20, 30 minutes, take some time to study for your HESI exam. I promise you, it'll take that stress off of you even more because, again, you have to get a lot of documentation and a lot of things done when applying to nursing school. And, I mean, who wants to also have to take an exam? Can you imagine how high your stress levels are when you know that you need to do well on this exam in order to be eligible to even just submit an application to a school? I know. So, study early. The next thing I'd like to talk about on my list of things to do to prepare when applying for nursing school is to, one, if or when possible, try to get some time in to volunteer. Now, I feel like one of the things that made it really difficult for me to apply and get into nursing schools was that I lacked volunteer experience. A lot of these schools, they want to know if you're going to be really dedicated, if you are well-rounded, and if you have some type of prior experience that has motivated you to want to work in the healthcare industry. I'm telling you, they will ask this on just about from what I can tell, every single nursing application is what kind of healthcare experience do you have. So, it's not the end-all break-all if you can't get experience. I still never actually got full hands-on experience. But I still was able to get into nursing school. But I was this close to going back to school to get my CNA license just so I can go and have experience and work in the healthcare industry while going or pursuing nursing as a career. Because I felt like unless I'm going to be able to be super, super highly competitive with all these different people applying for nursing, I've got to do something to stand out, right? So when you can volunteer, it makes a really big difference and helps you stand out on your application. But also keep in mind, other people are also going to be volunteering, so make sure that you can speak highly to that and make it count. So, if you followed me all the way through in the video up until this point, I thank you so much. And because I thank you so much for that, I'm going to be providing you with that's right, 2 extra bonus tips on things to prepare and do when applying for nursing school. So, my first tip, finance. This is not, as you're applying for nursing school right now, it may not be the biggest thing you're thinking about because you're thinking about prereqs, you're thinking about letters of recommendation, you're thinking about, do I have enough volunteer experience, do I have any extra like licenses or certifications like CPR, the list goes on and on, right? You're probably going to be like, I know finance is important, but it's not the most important thing right now. I'm telling you from experience, finance is important. You should consider, if you can, looking for scholarships. You can see if you qualify for federal loans. You can apply for financial aid on the FAFSA website. But you just want to keep those things in mind. Consider the school that you're applying to. It may be cheaper for you to go somewhere else, or it may be cheaper for you to get your ADN over your BSN, right? And still be able to do the same amount of work, unless, you know, like you have other reasons that maybe you do want to you want to go the BSN route. But it can be really expensive. And I can tell you firsthand that I pay more, I feel like, than the average person, but that's because I get the luxury to go to school in California where I live, because that's what I was hoping and praying for. I didn't want to leave the state. But, I mean, could I have relocated to get my tuition cheaper? Probably. And get the same degree? Probably. But just some things to think about. Finance. And for my last bonus tip, NursingCast. Familiarize yourself, if you can, with NursingCast. NursingCast is a website that most nursing programs use in order to get your application submitted and reviewed before you can get accepted into nursing school. And most schools do use the NursingCast platform. And more than likely, you'll have to submit transcripts, certifications, your essay, letters of rec, etc., all through NursingCast. So get familiar with it. It's an interesting site to navigate. So again, if you made it this far, thank you so much for checking out my video. I hope you enjoyed today's content. Please leave any questions, comments down in the comment section below, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.